Well, Notre Dame fans, Jack Sobel, I'm Tyler Horka. They did it. The Fighting Irish did it. They are in the college football playoff after a 49-35 victory over their rival USC Trojans here at the LA Coliseum. Jack, it was just as crazy as the final score suggests, closer than the final score suggests as well. It took a couple of pick sixes, one from Christian Gray, the other from who other than Xavier Watts. That's the difference in the game, the two touchdown score. But it was back and forth. It was every bit as offensive as that scoreline suggests from both sides. USC actually ends up outgaining Notre Dame. Go to the box score on the internet if you want to see how many. I don't, off the top of my head, know. Jack, that is less important than Notre Dame continuously responding, looking good from Riley Leonard to Jeremiah Love to Jadarian Price to the tight ends. Mitchell Evans and Eli Raridon both scored today. The offensive side of the ball kind of bailed out the defensive side of the ball at times, and then when it mattered the most, the defense showed up with those pick sixes. It was a well-rounded effort, even if it was Notre Dame's worst defensive effort of the season, which it was.
I mean, it's a special football team. Simple as that. To rattle off 10 wins after, as Marcus Freeman said, 84 days ago, lost to NIU. He was asked explicitly.
He knew that number.
Yep, knew the number. He was asked explicitly, did that end up being a good thing for your football team? And he took it a step further. He said it was the best thing that could have happened to Notre Dame if they handled it like they did. And you can see the results. The results speak for themselves. The microcosm of this team, Christian Gray, like you said, he was toasted and roasted during the end of the first half. 4 straight passes thrown at him, 3 completions, 1 pass interference, and then the last completion was a touchdown. Gave up a couple more deep ones in the second half, but when it mattered most, third and long, maybe 10 or 11, pass breakup, one-on-one coverage, at the goal line, interception, taking it to the house, and that ultimately was the ball game. The way he stayed in, because you obviously can't sub him out. You don't have any more cornerbacks. The way he stayed in it and he kept fighting and he made those plays at the end, just a phenomenal job from a phenomenal player, and they got it done. Notre Dame's headed to the playoff.
So USC goes full Lincoln Riley because it sort of had to. Woody Marks exits the game early in the first half, or midway through the first half maybe. He only gets a quarter. He's one of USC's best players, and all of a sudden he's out of the game. What happens? Jaden Maeva is asked to throw the ball 49 times, and it works a lot because, like you said, Christian Gray was getting toasted. He looked like a sophomore at times. Leonard Moore had a touchdown caught against him. Inconsequential, the game was over, but he gave up some catches as well. It was an outing where one of the most offensive-minded coaches in college football said, I'm going to throw the ball, and that's the only way that we're going to potentially survive in this football game. And it got USC by. Here's another reason why it got USC by for a little bit. Jaden Thomas fumbles the ball. USC takes over in Irish territory. Riley Leonard throws an interception. I don't think USC scores off of that, but it's just giving up the football a couple of times where Notre Dame did, and you just can't do that in rivalry games. So USC kind of persisted off of that for a little bit, and it kept the game closer than maybe you thought it would, because Notre Dame had control of this football game from the beginning. 7-0, it looks like, okay, Notre Dame's a better team, which it is, but there were some things that kept USC in, and they capitalized off of that. But in the end, Jack, Notre Dame, it just felt like they refused to lose this football game, and that's what happened.
Well, you asked Riley Leonard if the interception was a miscommunication. No, it was not. That's right. He very much just underthrew that for whatever reason, but the defense comes on. Xavier Watts makes a huge pass breakup, and an incredible play coming in from center field. That was as good as Xavier Watts gets this season. He has been really, really good this season. And then Leonard gets the ball back. Jadarian Price gains 35 yards. Leonard throws one of his best throws of the season to Mitchell Evans in a tight window. Evans makes that play we've been waiting for him to make for the touchdown. That ultimately was really the last thing the offense did in the game. It was just, Freeman talks about complimentary football so much. It was complimentary football right there.
So Riley Leonard's 2 touchdown passes, one to Eli Raridon, one to Mitchell Evans. Outstanding throws. You almost forget the interception because those are so good. And like I said, USC doesn't score off of that. So Jadarian Price, excellent, 36-yard touchdown. That's what he does. But Jeremiah Love has 136 yards from scrimmage in this game. Exits in the third quarter or maybe early fourth quarter with a right leg injury. His leg was wrapped. He went in the injury tent. It didn't look good. He was testing his mobility, knew he couldn't go back in. That you hope that heals in the next 3 weeks because Jack, before the injury, he's the best player for the Notre Dame offense. He showed it again today that he is that guy.
I'm gonna say he's the best individual player. The best group today probably Notre Dame in general was that offensive line. Their best game, not close. 260 rushing yards. The stat line's gonna say 258 because of the kneel down. 260 rushing yards, 6.8 yards per carry. Just an outstanding day. And I asked Freeman about this after the game. He said with what USC was throwing at them, they run a lot of different looks on defense. Danton Lynn is a good defensive coordinator. He'll throw a lot at an offensive line. They handle those so well. Best example, Jadarian Price's touchdown run. Yeah. USC comes out, and if you played college football 25, you know it's a double mug front. It was a double mug front. Notre Dame blocked it up as well as you can possibly block that up. Gaping hole, and because it's double mug, no one in the middle of the field. When that happens and Jadarian Price gets that much space, you know what comes next. He scores. Just an outstanding job by a group that has come so far from the start of the season. It's not the best USC defensive front, but they make you deal with a lot up front against this offensive line, and they played phenomenally tonight.
3 stats that I dug up, some easier to dig up than others in the middle of this football game, that all go back to the Notre Dame offensive line being really good this year. Jeremiah Love, 12 games in a row with the rushing touchdown, Fighting Irish program record. That doesn't happen without the offensive line. Jadarian Price, 7 rushing touchdowns this season, an average of 35 yards per score. That doesn't happen without an offensive line creating gaps and running lanes to go through. And Riley Leonard, 14th rushing touchdown of the season for him. That ties an all-time record for a Fighting Irish quarterback. You don't get into the end zone without an offensive line paving the way. But I will circle it back and say, in those 3 guys, Notre Dame has a collection of runners that are as good as any 3 that you can pick from any other team in college football. It's electric. You need Jeremiah Love to be healthy for this college football playoff game that's coming up, because all of a sudden you remove the biggest part of the equation in terms of who's carrying the football, and all of a sudden you have a different calculus there, and it doesn't look as good as it does for Notre Dame. So that'll be something to monitor in the next 3 weeks. Jack, another something to monitor as we spin this big picture and kind of end this video is Notre Dame, even with what happened defensively today. Again, I go back to USC throwing the ball 49 times. They were bound to put up numbers on their home field, in their last game of the regular season. It is what it is. I think Notre Dame, this was the anomaly for Notre Dame's defense. That being in mind, Notre Dame looking awesome offensively the last 2 months. Are we talking about one of the best teams in college football, and you kind of felt that again today, even though USC put up those 35 points?
I think we totally are, and I think the best example of this is you think back to week 1 at Texas A&M. They won a grinded out. You just got to get that score at the end, and then you're good. Yeah. A grinded out defensive battle, and then today a shootout, a barn burner, and you win those hard fought, really tight road games against good teams in completely different ways. And that is what good teams do. You have this Notre Dame team has so many ways to win. Before I throw it back to you, one more thing about Love, Price, and Leonard. Mm-hmm. We've gotten a lot of complaints this season about Love and Price not getting enough touches. That is what it looks like when those guys are fresh and the running game is diverse in Week 14. If Love is a 20 carry per game guy this season, he doesn't look like that today.
Yeah. I said it on our pregame radio show that we do with Darren Pritchett at WSBT. I said, if Jeremiah Love was a 20 to 25 touch per game guy, 5 of those would be like, ooh, that didn't look very good. And you guys watching this video at home would have a completely different, I think it would be a wrong idea about who Jeremiah Love is. But you would be like, yeah, he's just okay. Instead, he gets the ball 10 to 15 times a game. And in the case of Army, only 8 because he doesn't play basically 2 quarters of that football game. That's an aside. He looks like the guy every single time he touches the ball because he's fresh. You hope that he gets healthy, obviously, but Jadarian Price is fresh. Riley Leonard is fresh. They're only going to get fresher. I think one of the quotes that stuck out in this post-game press conference was Riley Leonard's like, we're going to be healthier. Yeah. We have a lot left in the tank for this college football playoff run that you think the Irish are going to make. That's going to start in South Bend, Jack. That's an exciting thing. You don't know the seeding. I heard Miami lost. I don't know the circumstances around that, but Miami lost. Ohio State lost. That's why I go back to what I kicked it to you with. I truly think that Notre Dame is one of the best teams in college football.
They have to jump Penn State. They have to jump Penn State after what Notre Dame did on this field. Penn State needed, I think, 2 overtimes to beat USC on this field, and a Heisman-worthy performance from its tight end. This was a complete win, as complete of a win as it can get when you have an interception that gives USC the ball in Notre Dame territory. You have a fumble, and it's obviously no coincidence that Jaden Thomas didn't play on offense except for a couple obvious run formations the rest of the game. But you get through that and you play as complete a game as you can play. And this wasn't by no means a perfect game for Notre Dame. They have a lot of they still have room to grow from this. This is one of the 5 best teams in college football without a doubt in my mind.
You'd think that one of the 5 best teams in college football has a reliable kicking situation. I don't. This is not the biggest takeaway from this video, but it's just something that popped into mind. Mitch Jeter right here kicking this way missed a 27-yarder, and it looked bad off the foot. He's missed 4 of his last 5 kicks. Maybe Riley Leonard is talking about Mitch Jeter in a way where you got 3 weeks to just get healthy, because at that time you wanted Mitch Jeter to make that kick. I believe it was a 7-7 ball game. You want to take the lead there. You didn't. That's been the case on a couple different instances in a couple different games for Notre Dame. So that's a quick aside. That was kind of my last thought, I guess. Anything you got that you think we have not covered?
I think they really need Howard Cross back because the pass rush was lacking. I think we will talk about Christian Gray a lot for both good and bad reasons. And the secondary, Jordan Clark got beat a couple times. That doesn't happen often. Yeah. There were
USC's got good receivers.
Yeah.
Let's say that.
Yeah. The catch that happened at the end of the game right in front of us against Leonard Moore, that was an incredible play. USC's got really good receivers. They just really weren't able to put it together this season for whatever reason. But also, all these USC receivers who are young, they're going to be back in good next year if they figure out the quarterback situation, some of the defensive line and offensive line stuff. They have a lot to figure out, but they have talent. Anyway, back to Notre Dame. They need to do a better job getting pressure on the quarterback. I thought Al Golden made a bit of a mistake by sticking with single high blitzing when it wasn't getting home and the cornerbacks were getting picked on so much. They gotta find ways to rush the passer, because I think this was the first game we really saw. With what happened to Gray today, you're going to talk about the loss of Benjamin Morrison. I think losing Boubacar Traore and Jordan Patella was a bigger reason Notre Dame struggled on defense today.
Absolutely. I'll finish it with this. Notre Dame did something here today that teams have really struggled to do against USC, and that was get up big in the fourth quarter. USC has been in every single ball game, really in those late stages where you still don't know who's going to win the football game. Time and again this season, at one point Notre Dame's leading this game 49-28, and you're like, there it is. It's a multi-score victory. That's just a sign of a good football team, and you said it well in other ways as well. So you're going to see a whole lot of us in December because Notre Dame was able to get it done. So definitely stick with this Blue and Gold YouTube channel. We will have so much coverage leading in to the college football playoff and beyond, and however long this Fighting Irish season lasts. So that's Jack Sobel. I'm Tyler Horka, and we will definitely see you guys next time.